we are moving on to the final round. Trinity versus Stina. And I think we only have one more topic, right, Mike? If you want to read it out.
What is the most addictive thing that is not a drug?
There we go.
Heads, tails.
Somebody call the coin flip. One of you is muted.
Tina, do you want to do it?
No.
I don't either.
Hey, someone's got to call it.
Purple.
Oh, come on.
Heads. Stina,
it's heads. First or second, Stina?
I'll go second.
All right. Stina electing to go second. The most addictive non-drug. Most addictive thing that is not a drug. We do need to run a prediction. Let's do that before we actually get started.
This is for the master debater.
This is for the master debater. This round decides who gets invited back for the grand finals of season 2 for the set cash prize. So whoever wins this, there's a lot riding on this. And once again, Trinity not getting most of the vote for the last prediction, but still coming out with it. Only 13% thought Trinity would win. So some people are happy with their points. Anyway, let's start the next prediction. Who is going to win the whole show? Is it going to be Trinity or is it going to be Stina? One vote. Gamble your points. This is for all the marbles. Stina has elected to go second, right? You believe you said second. Yes. Yep. 1 minute 30 on the clock. Trinity, you are going first. And your time begins now.
Okay, I am going to say that the most addictive thing on this planet that is not drugs is TikTok. Back in the day, there was another platform that I can't remember the name of, but it did the same thing to me. However, I fucking scroll through the shit, and it's been like 20 minutes before I go to bed, and then I realize that it's 4 hours later, and I really should have gone to bed 3 hours ago. I think that it's the small amount of satisfaction that I get from every video, and it's different every 30 seconds. I get to see hot guys. I get to see hot women. I get to see people show off what they have. I get to see people show off their talents and their ridiculousness, and I relate so well to every freaking TikTok, and I don't know how they do it, and it drives me up the fucking wall, and I hate that I'm addicted to it. And obviously most of the world is also addicted to it because I feel like we all do it. I recently got TikTok, and I have wasted at least a day of my life over the past 2 weeks, like a full 24 hours scrolling through TikToks, making it definitely one of the, if not the most addictive thing in the world, other than drugs. So I will end my time there, and I will pass it over to Stina.
All right, perfect. Stina, 1 minute 30 on the clock. Over to you. Your time begins now.
Okay, so I'm going to argue that the most addictive thing that's not drug related would be gambling. And I'm going to say that all of you in chat are guilty of feeding into this addiction if you're doing the channel point predictions. I think that we've seen, especially on Twitch in these last several months, that gambling is a severe addiction. We see this with Pokemon card openings. People are spending their life savings on Pokemon cards just to try to get these crazy, insane Charizards, to the point where they might be getting their house foreclosed with that attempt. We've seen it with the Steam streamers like Trainwrecks, who is doing CSGO unboxing on planes to try to get these crazy like drops for things. We've also seen it most recently with this Rust craze. I know that I don't play Rust a bunch, but I know the scraps are a huge thing, and people are collecting millions of scraps just to gamble them all away in the hopes of getting that reward. I think if we're thinking about the definition of addiction, gambling definitely stimulates that same center of your brain that drugs or alcohol do. So thinking about something that is addictive that's non-drug related, I think gambling does, have that same reaction. And we've seen with gambling, and when it can lead to being very compulsive, that it becomes so addicting that people are losing, life savings, their houses, relationships. I would like to think that TikTok hasn't resulted in, house mortgages and so forth being foreclosed and, divorces. I think that we do see that with gambling very frequently. So I'd argue that gambling is much more addictive and much more dangerous than a TikTok addiction. Time.
All right.
I love it. I love it, Stina.
All right. Perfect. Let's move it back to Trinity. 1 minute 30 on the clock. Back over to you. Your time begins now.
Okay, I think that people have a lot of addictions. I think that although gambling is a very serious addiction, I don't think that it's a problem that I would say a lot, like people that have gambling addictions have very excessive gambling addictions, but I think it's a small portion of the population that have gambling addictions. Although yes, Rust and online and people gambling in chat, but I think that addictions, I think people aren't addicted to doing channel point gambles on stream. I think that's kind of ridiculous to say. And yes, it is compulsive for some people, but I think the majority of people that gamble do it very safely. I think that they don't do it with the means that they don't have. It's only a huge thing because people have lost families and millions over time. But that's a very, very small percentage of the population. I think saying that many, many people have that is not a realistic argument. TikTok, on the other hand, is something that, yes, it might not be ruining marriages, but I think it's taking up time out of many, many people's lives, time being a very, very important commodity in lives. I think that scrolling through TikTok has taken away hours and hours and hours per day of many people's lives and relationships. And although it...
And that is time. Chat, none of you are taking away my Charizards. Go fuck yourself. These are mine. None of you can have them. Fuck you. Stina, back over to you. 1 minute 30 on the clock. Your time begins now.
All right, so I think Trinity made the point that gambling addiction is not as widespread. I think something important to remember is that a lot of people, a lot of those studies and statistics that are released are survey-based, so people actually have to say that they are addicted to gambling. So you're going to see lower amounts, but if you do a quick research, Google search, there are a bunch of statistics out there about gambling addiction and not so much about TikTok. So I think that in itself proves that there's a much wider prevalence. I also think in terms of the crowd, right, TikTok is appealing to much more of the younger generation, not saying that older people are not on there, but gambling can appeal to all ages. You have older people like my dad, my grandmothers that love to go to the casino, but you have younger people that are doing it with Pokemon card opening, channel predictions, and so forth. So I think the audience that it appeals to is much larger, hence becoming a much more dangerous addiction. I think it's also a really large thing that we see with students. So about 1 in 20 college students basically hit the points of being considered compulsive gamblers. And I think in thinking about that, that's a crowd that would also be using TikTok. And if they're, addicted to gambling, I think we're seeing that a lot more with that young crowd. And as I mentioned before, like with that young crowd especially, and then you have combined the older crowd, like my grandmother does not know how to use TikTok, would be extremely confused, but she does know how to go to the casino and spend hours on a slot machine. So I don't even think it's necessarily what one is more severely impacting, but the fact that gambling is more addictive, I think that was the prompt. I think it definitely, with the widespread audience it appeals to, would be more addictive. Time.
All right, 1 minute back and forth. This is the last chance you'll have to get your points in. Your time begins now.
Sorry, really quick. I just want to say, I think that it's not always about, you say that it's the older generation, but
which one has been around longer, though?
But that's my point. Yes, that's been around longer.
Yeah.
In the world we live in today is TikTok. Yep. That's what we're all fucking doing.
I disagree. I can't get Jesus. I can't get Jesus to watch one TikTok with me. I start playing. He walks out of the room.
It's been around for how long,
TikTok.
Cena?
But see, TikTok's is a divisive thing, right? Like TikToks, you either love or hate them. There's not a neutral, right? Like people either love TikTok or they hate it. It's very hard to find that middle ground where gambling can draw in so many different types of people. Look at Meta's doing Pokemon unboxing.
But that's not ruining his life. You're saying that.
No, it doesn't happen. That wasn't. No, I'm not. No, I was bringing it for the point though. It doesn't. That's not the prompt. It's not which one ruins more lives. It's which one's more addictive. I'm saying gambling has the potential, but I'm not arguing that one can ruin lives more than other. I think it's just a.
That's time. No more. This is it. Who is the master debater? Stina or Trinity? 3 minutes on the clock. Vote, chat. This so good, is Stina. The time to vote. If you have not voted yet, vote. The poll is up in chat. Let's go down the line. Let's randomize it this time, actually. Let's start with Neurotic. Who did it better?
You know what? Fucking fuck. I actually worked at a casino, one of the largest casinos in America, actually, one of the largest companies. So I've firsthand seen how crazy people get with gambling. It is still a small percentage of people who actually go overboard. A lot of people gamble. Like every single one of you, in odds, at least more than half of us are gonna go to the casino once or gamble once this year. It's just statistics. Now, if you would have said social media instead of TikTok, I would have been on your side. But you said TikTok, and your argument though was like absolutely amazing with how you were on it. You were talking about how it ruins time with actual real people and stuff like that, and you get absorbed. And it actually gives the same dopamine that gambling gives. It's really weird, the addiction of like drugs and stuff like that. So, blah, blah. I'm gonna have to say gambling. Show. What? Gambling.
I'm just saying based on your argument.
I know. I'm trying to.
You said that I gave a better argument, but you agreed with gambling more. That is literally what you just said.
Hey, I don't think contestants should be able to rebut that.
With the triple
I'll say why I think she argued it better in terms of gambling. Like, if you actually see the difference between someone who's just addicted to social media, and I've seen multiple cases of that. I've been addicted to TikTok, and I'm trying to think of a widespread of not just TikTok. I'm trying to think of social media. But she was able to pinpoint like memories and stuff like that, and that's how I'm seeing it. Like she was arguing in a way that like triggered thoughts and
this is getting heated. There's a lot on the line though now. This is
true. This is final round.
The debater of this episode.
That's one vote. If I'm understanding you correct, this is one vote for Stina.
Yes.
All right, one vote for Stina. Let's move on. Alpha Lady, you look ready to go. What do you got?
I do end up. Okay. Fuck, where did I start? Okay, so Trinity mentioned, I'm with Trinity, by the way. Trinity mentioned that when you scroll every 30 seconds, it keeps intriguing you, and it's actually the same spot. It gives you what, serotonin or dopamine, or I think both as well. So it's kind of like the same argument as Stina. Trinity mentioned the predictions is very safe, and it's a very small prediction percentage in terms of gambling, which is very true. So I wouldn't, I like how the fact that she looked at population, and I like how she used TikTok very specific. I know some of you guys would have said, I wish she chose social media. I really like the fact that she was very specific on TikTok rather than gambling. It could be anything. And in terms of gambling with Stina, Trainwreck's did the packaging opening literally for content. He's not actually gambling. He knows he's going to receive something back, whether it's fame, money, attention. He knows he's going to get back, and which most they do it. If you're doing it on content live for people, you know you're doing it for other people. It's not just you're gambling your house away. But I would say with Trinity.
All right, 1-1.
Good.
Coriander, who did it better?
Listen, they're both good debaters, and they got passionate. I think I honestly, when Trinity chose TikTok, I was like, oh my god, that's gonna win because that's so addictive and like so many people are addicted to it. And then gambling, it's kind of like, I feel like they both kind of fit into that like immediate pleasure kind of part of your brain, and like that's why you get addicted to it. So like, I'm gonna go Stina, I think, because I think she made a lot of really good points about it, and the fact that she talked about it as like more of like a bigger issue, like with the house foreclosing and how extreme it can get. I feel like the extremes that she brought up were a bit more drastic, and that swayed me slightly a bit more.
All right, 2-1 for Stina. Let's move on. Detailed Pig, who did it better?
Man, I've got to say I liked that Stina called out the host of the show by snapping on Meta for his Pokemon pack addiction. Man, this is tough, but I think I'm going to have to vote Trinity because I like the point she made of how accessible everything is on TikTok. Anybody can download TikTok and immediately get sucked in and get that dopamine storm in your brain. Gambling, you typically have to go other places. Stina did make a point that it's in video games now, it's everywhere. But I just really think Trinity argued it better.
All right, 2-2. Now, since I am being called out, I gotta like, look. All right, us small streamers, we do shit for content. All right. Now, of course, I was going and expecting to make money, but also it's the content, okay? I'm not addicted. You can't prove otherwise. So everybody just stop saying I'm addicted. This is not an intervention.
Would be this defensive unless as they're that addicted to it.
All right, let's move on.
Triggered.
This is now an intervention.
Let's move on. No shot. Moving on. We got to get through the end of the show. We got to get through the end of this show. We are running long. We got to move on. Brodaciously. Brodaciously. Who did it better?
I think both arguments were really great, but the fact that Stina continuously came in and was providing things like statistics and was able to refute each of the claims that was asserted by, or that were asserted by Trinity, really sort of perked up my attention. And on top of that, I think the points that she made about literally everybody in chat who's participating in channel points is gambling. One of the things that really struck me is like anybody can do it. Like you can say, I'm gonna take a chance on this new job. You're gambling with your fate. We all do it every single day. And while it may not be to an addictive level, it is certainly something that could easily become an addiction. And I think that the points and the facts and the statistics that were provided by Stina asserted that in a much more realistic and concrete way. So I've got Stina.
All right. Itty Bitty, who did it better?
I feel attacked. I want y'all to know that. Well, let's see. They both had some really good points, but Stina had some good points about gambling, and that gambling can come in many different forms. I used to gamble in Overwatch. I spent $50 a month, at least, on loot boxes, trying to get Reinhardt skins for reasons. So like gambling comes in many forms. Trinity was very on TikTok. I've been on TikTok. I've never felt it was like addicting. I just was like, cool video. Oh, it's time for work. Cool. Like that's how my life is. Also another thing, addiction is hard, y'all. If you are feeling like you are addicted to something, get help. I used to drink 2 24 packs of soda a day, and I'm getting better. I finally am down to 1, so get help. Stina is my vote.
All right, with that,
Good job, Blue.
With
I'm proud
that,
of you.
Stina does take 4 votes, and what I believe is a first in Master Debater history, a complete shutout on chat vote, 10-0 for Stina. Congratulations, Stina Joy. You are the Master Debater of episode 2. So with that, you will, of course, be invited back to the grand finale, episode 9 of season 2, competing with Wubba Gubba and 7 other, or 6 other people. 6 other, hopefully, yes. We don't talk about that episode. But
after 9 seasons, maybe we'll do Master Debater Mastered. You know?
See, I was considering that, but that's a lot of seasons. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 2 of season 2, Women's Night on the Master Debater.